Stephen Mace said, "Sorcery is the art of capturing spirits and training them to work in harness, of sorting out the powers in our minds so we might manipulate them and make them cause changes both within our minds and beyond them." The ultimate sorcery is psychology. Every angel and demon has a psychology, and every psychology can be manipulated. God must have a psychology. What is the Virgin Mary if not God's anima? The Holy Spirit is God's monopersonality. Jesus is God's persona on earth, and the devil is God's shadow. The devil is God's servitor to take away all the evil from God, allowing God to imagine that he is the purest, most perfect, sinless being. In fact, it's his alter ego that is the worst sinner of all, and the very Lord of sin. We would live in a much healthier world if God could lie down on the couch and be psychoanalyzed by the most brilliant psychiatrist. What manner of childhood traumas must God the Son have suffered? It wasn't that he was abandoned by his mother. He didn't have a mother. And his father was stern, remote, and judgmental, showed him no love, and eventually sent him to earth to commit suicide on a cross. No wonder Christianity is such a fucked up religion. The Son of God invented an imaginary friend, the Holy Spirit, to help him fight back against the power of the Father. What a mental clusterfuck. No wonder the devil, the shadow, emerged from God and then ran amok. The tale of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is simply God and the devil recast. Read the Old Testament or the Quran. It's impossible to tell who is God and who is the devil. As for the New Testament, that's about a rebellious, idealistic teenager rebelling against his dominant father, yet desperate to be loved by his father. It ends with the father demanding the son's suicide, death by Roman, in order for the son to win his love. No wonder poor old JC said, my God, what hast thou forsaken me?" He had serious abandonment issues. If God lets down his own son, he sure as hell isn't going to have your back. Servitors reveal the power of suggestion. They are created as a result of suggestion, and they can be prevented from being created by the power of counter-suggestion. If you are a skeptic, a scientific materialist, a nihilist, or whatever, you will never be able to make servitor. If you don't believe you can create servitors, you won't. You are literally subjecting yourself to a field of counter-suggestion which prevents you from enacting your will. If you don't believe you can create a servitor, you will never be able to charge a sigil with enough energy to convert it into a servitor. You won't be able to charge it at all. Most people can't create servitors consciously, but they can do so unconsciously. People are experts at producing servitors to distract them, to sabotage them, to make them fail again and keep failing, to thwart every dream they ever had. Ouija may be seen as a way of creating a servitor by way of a game. It's not impossible that Ouija puts you in contact with spirits. It's more likely that playing the game creates a game servitor, and it is the servitor that is answering your questions. One use of a servitor is to effect a change in the personality of the magician. If you want to be more extroverted, call on a servitor to transform your personality. If you want to be more of a thinking type, more of an intuitive, more of a judging type, use servitors to engineer the required changes. But the magician should, of course, be careful. They may remove a quality they treasure. The magician may not understand how vital their introversion is to how they function. They might even lose their magical powers. Do you want to be a genius? Create a genius servitor and set it to work on the greatest of problems. Could you get a servitor to write a book for you? Imagine if 3 writers could each summon a servitor doppelganger. Then they would become 6 writers, twice as productive. Change your life. Create servitors. Let someone else take the strain. A genie is a magical spirit who does or provides whatever the person who controls it asks. Traditionally, it grants its new owner 3 wishes. A genie is just like a servitor. Why not make your own genie? Use a prop such as a lamp and use it to create a servitor. Imagine to be inside the lamp, who will then grant you 3 wishes. Think of how easy the law of attraction would become if you could make a creature who would toil ceaselessly, behind the scenes, contacting every mind in the universe to persuade them to cooperate in giving you what you want. Imagine if humanity could create an army of servitor genies all working together to make everyone's dreams come true. What would humanity be like if 7.5 billion people each had 3 wishes at their disposal? In Star Trek, the Vulcans were once an extremely violent race. They learned to control, to suppress their emotions, and thus became a species renowned for their logic, the opposite of the hysterical emotionalism that characterizes most of humanity. Did the Vulcans use servitors to dampen their emotions and enhance their logic? Should humanity actually aspire to become more like the Vulcans? Most humans would be appalled by that idea. They want to remain hysterical, totally controlled by their emotions, whims, and mystical intuitions, and wholly resistant to reason and logic. The age of enlightenment is long past. Humanity now lives in the age of hysteria, algorithmically pumped up and supercharged. No good at magic? A disappointment as a sorcerer? Create a servitor magician or sorcerer. They will be far better at the job than you. The best magician is your own mind, your own unconscious. The best magicians are those that can unleash the inner magician,